Welcome back to Norrath. Well, today is the big day. Version 1.2 of Norrath is officially released for download as of right now. And what I want to do today is give you a short world tour to see everything that we've constructed over the past year, so that when you download the map for yourself and come here, you will know where to go and what to see. But we don't have much time today, so let's get started. So when you load in the world, you will be spawning here in the city of Freeport, specifically somewhere around here on this courtyard. And in front of you, you should see this here with today's date and confirming that you are indeed in version 1.2 of Norrath. If you choose to play in survival, there are also some adventuring supplies here for you. I have also prepared a small book here as a traveler's guide to help you navigate around the world. It has listed in it a few locations for teleport commands, but you can also just choose F3 and head towards these various coordinates for the 5 major cities that I've built, so that you can find your way around Norrath a little easier this time. So for those of you that are new here, wondering exactly what is Norrath, well, Norrath is my very long-term building project that I'm working on. Because you know how everyone has that one world that they always build in and go back to? Well, this is that for me. And the world itself is about 18,500 blocks long and 11,500 blocks wide. And the entire thing, I spent about 2 years custom terraforming every last inch of it. And now for the last year, I've been building all the custom buildings and cities and dungeons and everything that I plan to put in the map over time. So what I'm going to show you now is a short sequence with the world map on it and outlining the various cities and the spawn point and everything, so that when you come here, you can navigate around the world a bit easier and know exactly what you're getting yourself into. Okay, I hope you enjoyed my little animation. As you can see, Norrath is quite a big world, and we have a lot to see, so we had better get started on our very quick whistle-stop tour. First thing we're going to take a look at is we will very quickly go inside the Freeport Cathedral here. This is my medieval cathedral that I have built quite some time ago now. I'm quite pleased with the structure overall, even though it is a couple of years old. It's got everything that one could want in a medieval cathedral, I think. And for Norrath, this is the Paladin and Cleric Guild headquarters. And the title of this, the structure itself, I've called Bedrock Cathedral in other builds. Let me give you a good view of the exterior here. I called it Bedrock Cathedral for obvious reasons. It's covered on the exterior with bedrock, as you can see. Bedrock is, of course, one of my favorite materials. But let's take a bird's eye view of the city of Freeport. We're currently over here in North Freeport. As you can see, we have roads and houses that are being laid in all over the place. We have the the Tower of Arcane Sciences over here. And right behind that, we have the Iron Bank of Freeport. Still a shell, needs an interior put in it, as most buildings do around here. Here's the backside of the cathedral. You can see a hot air balloon floating off over there in the distance. We have another one of those over here, by the way, 2 of those in Freeport. Over here in the Freeport docks area, you can see the road color down there changes to blue. And we have more buildings down there being constructed in a slightly different style. We have the Freeport docks around here. We're slowly building these out and filling them with ships and everything. There's, of course, a lighthouse over here for Freeport, done in a typical Gothic style. as is the rest of the city. It's sort of got a Gothic sort of drab feel to some of these stone walls. It kind of makes you slightly depressed. But that is just what you need when you're building Gothic stuff. Over here, we have the Necromancer and Shadow Knight areas, denoted by the green roads and these scary-looking towers. Over here in the middle of the city, we have the headquarters of the Freeport Militia and the jousting arena down here. And of course, the road color over here is red, specifically red nether brick. Comes out looking very nice. Of course, we have an equestrian statue of Lucan Delaire down there, the leader of the Freeport Militia. That's their castle tower over here. And before we get away from it, there's one more thing over here in Freeport that I want you to see. If you come over here in the gardens of the cathedral, you'll find these stairs. And I have turned on spectator mode so we can clip down below the ground, and you will see that there is a staircase which will take you down and serve as an entrance into the Freeport sewer system, which is down here. That's why it's filled with water. And there are also storm drains to flush out the city so it doesn't flood with water. And connected to those for you to explore, well, I mean, they're all empty currently, but there are various rooms and labyrinths down here for you to get hopelessly lost in, probably. But there are also various water cisterns over here, so you could theoretically boat around down here at this level if you wanted to and explore those. And if we go deeper still beneath the cathedral, we will find that there are even larger rooms down here to see. And this is actually the level of the catacombs of Freeport. So if we go down over this way, we will see that there's a very large barrel vaulted hallway with various niches that go off with side rooms on those. And these are, of course, the various tombs that there are in Norrath with various bricked up passageways. And as you can see, these also contain some signs on them. And that is because there are also ones that don't have signs, by the way. That is because these tomb chambers are for you. Since those of you that don't know, these are the subscriber catacombs down here. And if you subscribe and leave me a comment asking for one, you too can have your very own tomb here in the world of Norrath. So you yourself can be part of the world, at least in spirit, and you can have water drops very slowly drip onto the lid of your sarcophagus for pretty much all of the rest of time. And there are quite a lot of tombs still down here to be claimed. I think there are 800 or 900 tombs. There might even be 1,000 tombs down here. But if you do want one, make sure to act now because supplies are limited and people are just dying to get in. But corny jokes aside, let us continue with the rest of the world tour. But we need to leave Freeport behind and head out over the common lands. As you can see here, we have some farm fields and a small village out here, out front of the city. Most of these are trading stalls from the various farmers. They will bring in their produce to this area around here and offer it for sale in the various markets. And there's there's sort of an itinerant market outside the city gates, as it were. And we have some barns and more houses and everything along here. We have pathways and fallow farm fields, other fields I haven't yet managed to create yet. Some farmhouses over here, various watchtowers. Over here we have a Gothic aqueduct that, as you would guess, stretches to the other side of the common lands, intersecting the Serpent Spine Mountains to bring cool mountain water back to the city. Koinos has one of these, which we'll be seeing fairly shortly. We have another large watchtower over here, right by the Druid Rings. And while we're over here, I want to quickly remark the Druid Rings are another device to help you get around Norrath, along with the small and large Wizard Spires, which we'll be seeing fairly shortly. So if you look down here, we will see various buttons and signs. And there are command blocks behind these buttons that will take you to various locations in Norrath. Of course, there are 12 buttons on here, which means there are 13 Druid portal locations that you can use to help you get around Norrath. All of these Druid rings have the same design as this one. So when you find one, you will know what it is. Over here, let's fly across the little village we have here by the lake. Still working on a name for this. But over here, we have the small Wizard Spires, denoted by these bedrock and obsidian obelisks here. And these have different portal locations. These take you to various places on, I think these only cover Antonica, by the way. But there are 5 of these small portals to help you get around as well. Over here, I'm going to quickly mention there are some ruins by the village over here. And if you care to explore these, you will find the entrance down here to the Dungeon of Befallen. Which if you go down these stairs and explore that, there is a fairly complete underground dungeon there. It still has a lower level that needs to be added. But of course that will be done at some point in the future. Over here we have the northern desert of Ro. Very large expanse of sand over here. If we fly over the desert a bit, we will see fairly shortly that there are a couple of things for you to come over here and take a look at. Of course, there is another small Wizard Spire portal location that's going to be just over here. But over here in this area, we do have a curious small pyramid. Of course, the pyramid at this point lacks an interior, but I think it is going to be the entrance to another dungeon over there. But it is something that you can come over to the desert and take a look at if you are so interested. However, we need to turn back north from here because we want to head over to Koinos and the plains of Karana, because there are things for you to see over there as well. And of course, in this version, I will remark there are complete road networks throughout most of the continents, and they are also all bridged over. So if you choose to travel on foot through Norrath, you should be able to do so. So once you cross to the other side of the Serpent Spine Mountains, you will find the plains of Karana, and on the far end you will find the city of Koinos. And this, of course, is the Roman themed area of the world, as denoted by our Roman towers. And of course, the very characteristic Roman aqueduct we have over here, coming out of the reservoir attached to the mountains over there as well. Over here, we have the third and last portal device to help you get around the world. Well, not counting the dragon rings, but those are only on Velius. Over here, we have the large Wizard Spires. They have the very characteristic design, the same as it is in EverQuest, pretty much. I took a little liberty with some of the coloring on it. But these will take you from continent to continent. In other words, this will take you to the continent of Fedor, this one to Kunark, this one to Velius, and this one to Otis. And of course, we are currently on the very large continent of Antonica, which means there are 5 of these in total. But we need to follow the aqueduct across the plains of Karana to get to the city of Koinos. We have another small Wizard Spire location over there. for reference. And over here, somewhere farther north, is another druid ring. As we approach the city of Koinos, we can see the walls coming into view. Its various towers and everything. And out front here, just like we had out front of Freeport, we're going to have more farm fields stretching off into the distance. But when you enter the city itself, this is of course the main Roman-themed area of the world. We have a Roman monument over here in this section of the city. A typical Roman theater and a Roman amphitheater or Colosseum. We have the central square of the city. Up here, this is going to be the Royal Palace area. We have another entrance to the city over here. And over there, we're going to be putting down the Koinos Cathedral. Just like the cathedral I just showed you in Freeport, there is going to be one in Koinos here at some point in the future, as soon as I finish building it. It's probably going to be a couple of months on that, though. Over here, we have the Koinos Docks area. And guarding the entrance to the main area of the docks, we have over here a Colossus. Bestriding the entrance to the harbor. Presumably, if there were enemy ships trying to sail into the gates, it would come to life and sink them. That's what the locals say. Of course, I haven't seen it do it yet. That may be just a legend. But if we leave the harbor, we are now going to head over the sea in this general direction. And this will take us to the area controlled by the Erudites. Of course, over here we can see the island of Erud's Crossing. I think I talked about this in the last video. As you can see, it is done in an Asian style. Sort of a mix of Japanese and Chinese and Korean influences. Sort of all mashed together in my interpretation of a general Asian style. But if we leave Erud's Crossing behind and continue over the ocean, we will come to the shores of the continent of Otis fairly shortly. You can see some of the islands already. And another tower over here, which means we're going to have another village over here at some point. And every time you see one of these towers, I'm going to be putting a small village with farming and fishing communities, because I do want to populate the land and have it not just be the bare terrain with the roadways that you see. It does need to have sort of an economy built up, I think. Over here, we are coming to the high city of Erudin, called the High City because it's built on this plain up here, which it's at about 100 blocks up. So it's going to be pretty much the tallest city in Norrath for the base terrain. And up here we have the centerpiece of Erudin, the Great Library building, which I've of course modeled off of the Ming Dynasty Temple of Heaven, as you can see. I showcased this in the last episode. A very interesting building. As I've said, it looks quite different from various heights that you view it at. We have over here another temple design and some various smaller temples and pagodas of various sorts. We have over here a small lake, some lion statues, what's going to be a bank building. For Erudin, we have half of a structure over here. Another structure that I haven't decided what the use of this is quite yet. And over here, we have what's going to be the Imperial Palace of Erudin. It's sort of like a very small forbidden type city up here. And it's got a main palace building with a couple of other buildings behind it here. Try and give you a good look at this. And it, of course, sits on the cliffs high up over the sea here, overlooking the sea and the bluffs of the cliffs out over here. And on the plain itself, we will have, as you can tell, we're going to have more farms and farm fields, but of a different design, I think, out here. Minecraft doesn't quite have a rice crop, so we're going to have to get imaginative. Find something to do with that, I think. But if we head south a little and leave Erudin behind and travel down the Stonebrunt Mountains over here as they load in. On our right, there is the Togzulia Forest down there. Over here in this location, a few blocks away, is going to be the large wizard spires of Otis. And I think down there somewhere is where the Druid rings for Togzulia come out over there. And we have some more picturesque towers here by a waterfall down there with the mountains behind those. Some of these are going to be watchtowers, but most of them are going to have little villages attached to them. Back over here, there is an enchanted diamond tree for you to come see, and we're going to be putting a monastery around here behind this by that tower over there. But if you ever hear your friends say that diamonds don't grow on trees, well, you can come here and show them this and tell them no, they're quite wrong. Diamonds obviously grow on trees. But from here, if you care to explore a bit further south, you will encounter the hole around this area here on Otis, which we will fly over to that and give you a quick view of it. It's going to be this future site of the city of Paineal, but in the past the zone was created by a very large war and explosion when there was an erudite civil war sometime in the past. And as you can see, the war ended with quite a bang, because if we come over here, I'm going to put something on the top here for a cloud vortex, but I haven't yet. But as you can see, there is a very serious sort of anomaly going on down there. A rift of sorts has been torn into the very crust of the world around here, ripping everything quite asunder. And on the cliffs of the rim of the crater, somewhere over there, is going to be where we're going to build Paineal. And I'm not quite sure when we're going to start that. But that is all there is to see on Otis. So we are going to use the wizard spires here in the Togzulia Forest and travel back to Antonica. And as you can see, we have been teleported back here to the spires at Karana. And from here, we need to head this way towards the aqueduct and very quickly go north so we can see the city of Halas. And then from there, we will make our way over to the high elven city of Fellwythe. Now, the easiest way to get to Halas is to follow this river in a boat and head northwards up the long Serpent Spine Canyon here. And it's quite a long boat trip. I think it might be the longest river in Norrath. I'm not quite sure about that, though. There is another river on the other side of the mountains that may be longer, depending on how you measure it. But if we continue heading northwards with the Sunder Rock Hot Springs on our left here, which I will just give you a quick view of those, a nice place for you to come explore, maybe set up a base there. But as we go further north in Norrath, of course, things get colder and colder with more snow until the trees are covered with snow. And even in the far northern reaches of Norrath, even the trees turn to ice because it's so cold up there. But we have now arrived here at the barbarian city of Halas. There's not too much to see here. All I have done pretty much is put in the gates over the frozen lake here. It's a little bridge to get across it. Well, as you can tell, we're going to go with a Nordic theme. Sort of a Skyrim vibe is what I want to have Halas be up here. But as you can tell, the city is pretty much very bare bones at the moment. It's also one of the smaller cities on Norrath to be a capital. But as you can tell by now, each race and each city in Norrath has its own unique styling cues to it. Now while you're up here at Halas, you may also choose to go a little bit farther north, and you will come to the Great Ice Walls, which are pretty much the polar caps of Norrath, because beyond this point it's just void on the other side of that. There's nothing to see. And these pretty much go all the way up to the build limit, by the way. But if you wanted to put like a nice polar cliff base up here, the ice caps on the north and the south of the planet of Norrath look exactly like this, stretching off 18,000 blocks or so in each direction along the entire width of the map. But that's all there is to see up here for the time being, so we are going to return again to the Wizard Spires, and this time we're going to use them to travel to the continent of Trydar. Alright, we're back at the Antonica Wizard Spires, so we're going to use them to travel to Trydar. And the Wizard Spires will take you here to the Greater Trydar, perhaps my favorite zone in all of EverQuest. Spent a lot of time here. You can tell there are the largest trees in the world are here in the Greater Trydar. This is the home of the Wood Elves and also the High Elves. Of course, we are going to the High Elven city of Fellwythe today for the last part of the tour, and to get there you want to find the street lamps along the road here, and you want to follow them. And they're placed at various regular intervals around here along these roads. And you pretty much just want to keep following these. You will see a couple of watchtowers along the way here. But if you continue following them in this direction, they will take you to the gates of the High Elven city of Fellwythe right here. Now, Fellwythe is the second city I started building after I started constructing Freeport, which was the first one. So it is one of the more complete cities at this current time. So when we go in the gates here, we are greeted on various sides here with High Elven winged statues and various fountains on either side of a glass bridge here. And here in the middle of the city, we have a very large and imposing structure, which is, of course, the Paladin Guild Tower. And you will immediately see behind it, we have over here in southern Fellwythe, where all the mage schools are. This is the mana pool. It is sort of like a fountain of mana is coming up from this central area here. And this is one of the most potent sources of mana in all of Norrath. So it of course has various things built around it to harness it and make good use of it. And the tendrils of pure arcane mana slowly wind their way up and twist themselves together in the sky here around the central vortex. It's definitely a centerpiece of Fellwythe. Of course, on the sides here we have the Mage, Wizard, and Enchanter Guild Towers. Beside those, around here also in the central parts of the city, we have a couple of large enchanted trees and some smaller ones down here. And we have a central courtyard with a central pool in it. And another very large winged elven statue with a little water bowl. This is quite a peaceful area. This is one of my favorite spots to come hang out and look at the various buildings and trees around here. And over here also, we have an entrance to, this is the Cleric Guild entrance, but there is another one for the Paladin Guild. And there are various rooms with teleport platforms in here with pads on them. And we don't have time to look at all of those today, but if you step on those, they will take you to either different parts of the city or the underground areas of the city. We go through the gateways over here, we will come to the harbor area of Fellwythe, which, as you can see, the tree color has changed to blue again. And around here there are various ships sitting at the docks over here as well. I may change the ship design a bit in the future. I still need to add the sails and everything. So, as I've said, Fellwythe is not complete, but it is one of the more complete cities that you're going to be finding when you come into the world. And also a quick update while we're over here. You will notice that I have gotten the frames for the first levels of pretty much all the buildings done in Fellwythe as well. It's been a couple of episodes, actually it's been several episodes since we've been over here, so that's what I've been doing over here for those. Of course, they're going to be going up in various levels of stories with roofs on them, but this is just the first level. Over here we have sort of the Royal Palace area of Fellwythe up here, and some Royal Enchanted Gardens up here at the top for you to take a look at as well. I think somewhere up here under this domed, glass dome pavilion, we may put a throne up there, or in the room underneath it. We definitely need to do that as well. But before we get away from Fellwythe, I want to show you the underground area, because this one, along with Freeport, has a very large and extensive underground area to it, even larger than the above ground city, which we see as we clip under the surface here. As you can tell, we have a lot of interconnecting rooms down here with various hallways, buildings, and large halls. Indeed, underneath the Paladin and Cleric area is the largest hall in the city. And it's done in a very high elven Gothic-esque style around here, with glass floors and hanging chandeliers and twisted columns and fine carved capitals and everything, and details on the walls around here as well. You can see there are doors around here. Some of them go straight into these rooms. Some of them will go into larger hallways, which will take you off into the other sections, which are even more hallways such as these, and more hallways branching off of those into smaller and smaller rooms, pretty much all over the city. So as you can tell, there is a very large and extensive underground area. There is also, by the way, a bank vault area full of gold stacked to the rafters in here that you can visit as well, plus some full bank vaults over here with various treasures and safety boxes in those as well over here that are accessed from the main bank over here. And we have the place where the bank tellers would stand and their windows over here. And the entrance is over here in this section of the city by this tower over here. Of course, we have a little pavilion over here also. So we're going to end today's episode back where we started, here in Freeport. I hope you all have fun exploring the world and seeing the sights and everything that I showed you today. There are even 2 more places in the world to see that I haven't shown on camera yet, but they are in the download. So perhaps you will randomly find those as well in your explorations. And also, for those of you that have been asking, my texture pack that I use to record this is also available in the video description, along with the shaders that I use, so you can see the world exactly as I do. So thank you all very, very much for watching, and I will see you next time.